You were a lot of trouble for someone who knew it.
I'm always trouble. Well, first I have a message for Art, and that is, you want to find enlightenment, I have a book on Amazon called so that's for him. He wants to check that out.
See what you've done.
So I'm a mother of 5 children, and I have 1 angel. And 5 years ago, I wrote the book after I lost my daughter, and it's taken me on this incredible journey. And I feel like a tsunami came and took my old life away, and I had to completely rebuild from the inside out. And I guess, well, now I'm working on another book for mothers, and this book is called And I Am Mama Zen. Everybody knows me as that. It's finding balance, and I feel like my children, I don't know if I'm teaching them or they're teaching me.
Some of both, but they are a much better teacher than you are.
They really are. My oldest.
It's always true because they're much more in the receptive mode. They're
really
much more in the
are.
receptive mode. Most parents spend a lot of time training their children out of the receptive mode.
Yeah.
And then you come to us and we train you back into the receptive mode. Yeah.
So the ages range from 3 all the way up to 20 years old. And I found that my oldest gave me the best advice, which, excuse my language, but give no fucks. And when I really started to apply that in my life, that's when it started to get really, really good.
Meaning, don't guide my life by the expectations of others.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot here today.
It's so much about it, and also what you talked about with the downloading, allowing the information to come. When I was writing that book, well, Abraham, you were there whispering in my ear so many times. And when I read that book back, I go, I wrote this? I don't even know how I found those words. It really wasn't me.
That's one way of saying it, but now what we've come to as a result of everything that we've been talking about, and especially where you all are here today. So that would be like sitting in your car and wanting to tune to a station and finding something and then saying, I have no idea how I found that.
Yeah.
And we say, yes, you do. You just felt around till you found it. It's the same thing. You find,
Yeah.
if you care about the way you feel, you find it faster. But you find the receptive mode, and then you are able to translate the vibration into something that is more tangible, like a thought or a written word.
My other question is, I guess you've already answered it in what we've been talking about with writing this next book. I guess just let it download itself.
Yeah, receptive mode, just receive it. It's the trying that gets in the way of most things, but you got to find that balance, because if you don't put yourself in the mode where receiving is possible, so it's a matter of expectation is really the operative word here today, because if you're not expecting to receive, then you're not going to set time aside. If you're not expecting to receive, then you're not going to even be thinking about the things that you'd like to hear about. And so you just can't miss. There's no possible way that you cannot be in the receptive mode. You are, all of you, at one point or another, every single day. And so it's just a matter of recognizing when you are, and then beginning to pay attention to what things you might do to make that be more of the time. One of the things that we've noticed is that as you get further into the day, you pick up on more things that you use as your reason not to be in the receptive mode. So you're usually more in the receptive mode earlier in the day before you've gathered up so many things. And the reason for that is, while you were asleep, your point of attraction subsided, and so the momentum about everything subsided. So when you first wake up, the only path that's lighted, the only path that's really calling you is this path of least resistance of who you really are. So that's the time when you're most likely to be in the receptive mode. And so we would plan for that. We would set aside time early and plan for that. But we would also say to ourselves, I'm not going to make this happen. I'm going to allow this to happen. I'm going to allow this to happen. Haven't you noticed, even as you watch the athletes, don't you see them and you hear the words, I'm not on my game tonight. I'm on my game. I'm not on my game. And you got to wonder, well, if you're capable of doing that most of the time, why aren't you capable of doing that all of the time?
Yeah.
Why is the time-space relationship between what you're trying to accomplish difficult under these conditions and easy under these conditions? What's the factor? What's the factor that makes the difference? And the factor is always the same thing. It's only one factor. It's how much of my broader resources am I allowing myself to experience right here and now? How much vibrational clarity am I allowing myself to translate into a manifestation? And so everything is about that. Now, there are a lot of people who believe, and there is some reason for them to believe this, that the more they perform certain actions, then the more their expectation increases. Well, we think that that is accurate. The more you do something, then the more comfortable you become at it. And the more you do it, then the more you can sort of luck into some of the things. And your expectation can gradually grow from action-based approach. But it is really slow going. There is so much faster way. And that is by letting your dominant intent be to recognize alignment or not. Rather than saying, how many times can I put this ball in that basket? Rather than that conditional question, we would ask the question, which do I prefer, clarity or confusion? And what does clarity feel like? And what does confusion feel like? What do I prefer, a feeling of energy or a feeling of lethargy? And think about what that lethargy feels like. Think about what that energy feels like. Would I rather feel precision or awkwardness? What emotional vantage point feels the best to me? And so in playing with this a little bit, with the words that are emotional, what you begin to show yourself is that without any conditions being involved, you can begin to clean up energy. You can begin to feel more clarity, more vitality, more stamina, more right place, right time, more timing, more intuitiveness, more deja vu, more awareness, more perspective, more timing. You begin to notice that there are all of these things that are evident all around you in the physics of your world that you actually can harness and utilize personally, in the same way that your scientists and mechanics have discovered how to harness electricity, even though they don't even come close to understanding it. They don't understand its source. By trial and error, they have figured out how to harness it. You can, with your physical body, figure out how to harness the energy that creates worlds and how to focus it in meaningful ways in your experience. And so if you put that first and then you follow through with the inspiration. For a while we said get into the vortex and then. Now we're saying get into that feeling place. Find that feeling place. And then what? It's not step 1, 2, 3, get into the feeling place and then take the action. It's just one step. Get into the feeling place and follow the inspiration. Because when you get into that vibration of alignment, since everything that you've been asking for has already been known, received, cataloged, prioritized,
beautiful,
understood. In other words, the outline for your book is already there. The calling of the world for it is already there. Everything's already known by all that is. And what's your job? Receptive mode.
Lining up.
What's your mode? Receptive mode. Receptive mode. Esther would say, Abraham, how about an outline? And we'd say, how about you mind your own business? Of course, we said that in the most loving way.
Of course.
How about you just take it as it comes and not try to get yourself too far down the road? Just take it as it comes. Get your head out of this.
Living in the moment, really, moment to moment. And the last few months, I've really tuned out a lot of people to focus in on my vibration.
We'd say it this way, rather than tuning anyone out, just tune something in. Because everybody you try to tune out, you tune in.
They come back in,
You don't tune anybody out. You tune them in while you're trying to tune them out.
That's true.
It's the way law of attraction works. You're tuning in those you mean to tune out.
Well, my phone just stopped working. It wouldn't work in my house. That was great. At first it annoyed me, and then I was like, oh, this is blissful. I can't hear from anyone. So the universe really was doing the work for me.
You all are so interconnected these days that it's a rare one of you who can hear us.
Yeah.
We'll be streaming, you'll be getting it, and then they'll say that And so that impulse to keep dropping it and breaking it, that's us.
Yeah. Yes. You guys definitely did some damage to my phone reception for sure. And I needed it because I had to do the work to get myself.
Well, we're playing with you mostly, but you are distracted. You have taken multitasking to the absurd.
Yeah.
And in that, there's action and condition that is fine when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. In other words, nothing feels better than to be in alignment and feel the flow of all of the aspects as it comes to you.
Yeah.
But get there first, and then let your inspiration come to you from source. Not from Facebook, from source. Source, rather than your streaming friends who are texting you constantly. In other words, you might want to just get a text that you text back that says, in the receptive mode, be back later, or go away.
Do not disturb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough?
Yes.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.